Cette émission est un programme d'enseignement destiné aux jeunes scolarisés. Pour leur permettre d'en profiter pleinement, chers parents, merci de tenir éloignés des éléments de distraction, téléphone, télécommande et autres. Il est également recommandé de mettre l'élève dans des conditions propices à l'apprentissage. Avoir un cahier et un crayon à billes à portée de main serait bénéfique. Dans la mesure du possible, la surveillance parentale ou d'un tuteur peut s'avérer nécessaire.
Good morning, dear televiewers. Good morning, dear learners and students. My name is Ict, and today we'll be working with the troisième student for the program of BPC for the academic year 2019-2020. The module which is concerned is the fifth one, titled Media and Communication. Our lesson is divided into 4 parts. The first one starting us from the module through the real-life situation, the lesson, the expected outcomes, the category of actions, the illustration, and after the illustration, we have a frequency of 6 steps questions provided with answers. After the frequency of the 6 step questions and answers, we will go right down to an application, an exercise of application. After the exercise, we will have an assignment. We will constitute the work that our learners will do at home. Now, to begin with, the title of the fifth module, as I said earlier. Media and communication. What is media? A learner is supposed to ask me the question, oh, Mr. Imayetik, what do we understand by media? Because we are using that term without even really knowing what it is all about. Media can be simply defined as a channel, a means through which information and data are stored. So we can also define communication as the concept or the state of exchanging information or data between entities. I would like to call your attention upon your former classes. Where you were in primary school, probably you talked about the ICT tools. And probably you were taught that ICT tools are divided into 2. We have the traditional ICT tools and then the modern ICT tools. If I'm trying to recall that lesson, it's just because today we will be working on one of the ICT tools that you saw or that you were taught in the past in your lower classes. For instance, you were taught that for traditional ICT tools, we have drums, we have flutes, we have balafons. And then for modern ICT tools, you had telephone, you had radio, you had TV set, just to name a few. After saying that, I will start with the real life situation of our lesson, which is titled Subscribing to Services Packages. What is subscribing? The learner should always endeavor to diagnose each and every concept or keyword which is involved or the subtitle of the lesson. When you talk of subscribe, it simply means that you are someone who wants to use this particular service. So you are a person in need of a service. And then the packages can simply be considered or taken as a service. The title of the lesson, which is our third entry here, talking about different communication services. This is the opportunity for us to remind our learners that we are Cameroonians, and that our context, when we talk of media and communication, is very particular. So we will try to elaborate on the different types of communication services that we have here in Cameroon. In an upcoming subsection, you will be asked to name some of those communication services. Now, talking about the expected outcomes, what do we really expect our learners to do by the end of this lesson? By the end of this lesson, troisième learners will be able to easily make a call using some communication services. That is the core. That is the main part. That is the center of our lesson. We want our learner to make a step ahead. We want them to be able to make a call. Not only to make a call, but to make a call successfully. Using some communication services. Right under the expected outcomes, we have the category of actions. What is it all about? The category of actions is the subsection which is concerned about the 4 elements of grammar. And as we know in all languages, we have 4 elements. We have listening, we have speaking, we have reading, and then we have writing. So, at this level, as far as this lesson is concerned, we will work on listening and speaking. Because remember, I said it from the very beginning of this lesson that it is the first lesson of the 5th module. So we start by listening and speaking. And at times, our learners are not really understanding what do we mean by listening and speaking. As your teacher, I recall you that when we talk of listening, it means that there will be someone that will probably be talking to you. And then you, as a learner, you will react back to the person. So it's what we call, in a single sentence, a context of interaction. Because you are exchanging, you are interacting with somebody else on a particular topic. Now, we have an illustration. The illustration is, as I said, composed of 6 steps, questions, along with answers. The first thing that you should do is to look at me. In my right hand, I have an item or a tool. And after identifying, I will ask you a question. Do you recognize the tool I hold in my hand? If yes, name it. Great. When students or learners are asked such a question, the first thing that they should ask themselves is, are we in a real life situation case? Is the item held by the teacher something that really exists in our common life or in our day-to-day life? Before saying yes and then naming it. Sure enough, this item is used on a daily basis by many people in the society. Perceptibly, your answer should be in that case, yes, sir. And then you continue by saying that tool is called a mobile phone. And when you name mobile phone, it rings a bell in the teacher's mind. That is, you have named an ICT tool. The teacher could go ahead by asking you, for instance, is the ICT tool that you have named a traditional one or a modern one? Your answer should be rooted on the fact that you master the usage or the importance of the item. According to the various capacities that the item can render or the role that the item can render to people in the society. So, if the phone can perform basic or elementary or simple or ordinary, if you like, then you call it an ordinary mobile phone. On the other hand, if the item can perform extraordinary deeds, you call it an Android phone. All right. And for you to decide either an ICT tool, taking the case of this mobile phone, if it is an ordinary or Android mobile phone, you have to come back to its usage. What can the phone perform as tasks? Is this phone capable of performing all the tasks required by the users? If no, then you are in the context of an ordinary mobile phone. If yes, you will be in the context of an Android phone. Okay. Now, the second question of our illustration goes like this. What is the role of the mobile phone? What is the role? In other words, what is the importance of the mobile phone? Yes, you did well by answering that the item that the teacher held in the hand was a mobile phone. Yes, you did well by saying that the phone that the teacher held in the hand can perform many tasks. Now, if you want to answer the question which is related to the role or the importance of a mobile phone, you have to come back to the needs of usage. When you go in a supermarket or in a shop to buy something, I think basically it's because you know the importance of the very article you want to buy. It is uncommon to go in a shop and buy an article or an item or some stuff of which you don't know the importance or the role that you will play in your life. It is, as I said, uncommon. So, based on the fact that you already know the importance of this item, you can share it with your friends, you can share it with me, your teacher. For you to answer to this question, one way to easily tackle the difficulty is to ask yourself, in order to be connected to people, can we use this item? That is one way to go about it. Then, if it is the case, you can also ask yourself, is the item limited only to connect people? Is the usage only important for you as a single person? Probably your answer would be no. Right away, you will be capable of saying one of the possible answers, can be a mobile phone helps people to call their loved ones. We are in a context where the coronavirus pandemic is threatening the whole world. And to my mind's eye, I think it is a crucial time and a crucial moment where people are really in need of the use of this ICT tool, which is the mobile phone. Because confined at home, you are at times, I will use the word, obliged to call your uncle, to call your aunt, to call your friends, your colleagues, to call your sisters and brothers who are not in the same house with you. So it becomes a necessity for you to use a mobile phone. Because now it is no more possible for people to pay some visits to their relatives Then, another answer which is still acceptable is a mobile phone helps people to connect to one another. A third answer, probably given by a different learner or student, can also be we can use a mobile phone to send and receive files, voicemails, emails, photos, text, and so on and so forth. Let us say something briefly. We said from the very beginning that the needs and the usage of ICT tools can permit us to differentiate between the two kinds of phone that we use in the society. And right here in the third possible answer, I mentioned sending and receiving files, voicemails, emails, photos, text, and so on and so forth. Now, another question, which is the third one. What should one do to successfully pass a phone call? And the answer that a student can give is to successfully pass a phone call, we must make sure our battery is loaded. That's the first thing. We should make sure that our SIM card is correctly inserted. And we should correctly dial the phone number we want to call. The next question is, how many communication services do we have in Cameroon? Name them. Here, the learner is supposed to call in mind the major communication services that we have in the society. And then the answer should be, in Cameroon, we have 3 communication networks, namely Orange Cameroon, MTN Cameroon, and Nextel Cameroon. Right after that, the question that follows is, how many types of mobile phones do we have? Broken down, the understanding. So the answer here is we have 2 types of mobile phones among the ordinary mobile phones and the Android mobile phones. Another question, which will be the last for this first frequency, is what is the difference between an ordinary phone and an Android one? And the answer is that an ordinary phone, as I said in my explanation earlier, an ordinary phone is one which renders basic services such as passing calls, sending and receiving SMS, listening to music and news, while an Android mobile phone renders extraordinary services such as passing video calls, sending and receiving files, voicemails, email, photos, text, SMS, and so on and so forth. This is the first part of the lesson. So we will come back to you right after a short break.
Cette émission est un programme d'enseignement destiné aux jeunes scolarisés. Pour leur permettre d'en profiter pleinement, chers parents, merci de tenir éloignés des éléments de distraction, téléphone, télécommande et autres. Il est également recommandé de mettre l'élève dans des conditions propices à l'apprentissage. Avoir un cahier et un crayon à billes à portée de main serait bénéfique. Dans la mesure du possible, la surveillance parentale ou d'un tuteur peut s'avérer nécessaire.
Welcome back to the second frequency of this lesson. Before going to the short break, I said that we will be working on a practical exercise. Practical exercise number 1. We've numbered it number 1 because probably in the upcoming frequency, we work on some more. For each of the following situations, make an analysis of what are the options taken by the phone users as it generally happens in our day-to-day life. Provide answers to the questions. First situation that I will read for you. During the confinement due to the coronavirus pandemic, Mary, like any other student, can no more pay visits to her uncle living at Denver, Bunamusadi in Douala. Worried to have some news from her uncle, she is nevertheless left with some options. Question number 1. Write down all the options that Mary can use in order to have some news from her uncle using a mobile phone. That is, she is confined at home. She likes to have her uncle's news. And then the tool that she must use is the mobile phone. The question is now up to you. As a learner of troisième, give us globally the various options that Mary can adopt. How can she go about having her uncle's news? Then, the answer or answers can go like this. Mary can pass a phone call to know how her uncle is doing. You will see that in my answer there is a link between the title of the module, the title of the real life situation, the title of the lesson, the title of the expected outcomes, and then the last but not the least, there is a link between the category of actions and the question and further the answer. So the second answer can be Mary can send an SMS asking us the information she needs from her uncle. Those are two means or options which can permit, which can enable Mary to have news from her uncle who is not living in the same house with her. Now, the third possibility or option, Mary can send some pictures of her followed by a short text referring to her welfare and questioning her uncle about his current state. Let us explain a bit, because that is a kind of reading. Mary is worried about how far is her uncle doing. I will focus only on the third option. The student giving the answer that Mary can send, listen very carefully, that Mary can send some pictures, photos of her, that is her photos, followed by a text that is under the photos. She writes a short text guiding her uncle or referring on her welfare, that is her state, how she is, if she is well, if she is sick, something like that. After that, Mary decides to choose passing a phone call because she thinks that it is the fastest means of the three options. Unfortunately, Mary is informed by the service that her balance or credit inside the bracket, as you can see on the screen, is insufficient. out one error that Mary made before dialing her uncle's number. In the context, Mary was probably in a haste. She was eager to have her uncle's news. And something happened in the process of passing a phone call. So the learner has to bring back the action. You try to, as we usually say, get in Mary's shoes. That is, you take her place. You behave or you brainstorm, you think as if you were Mary. In that situation, or if you want to bring more light so that Mary should come back to the error probably she made, what can you forward as answer? What happened? What is the problem? You will agree with me when you read the answer. Mary did not check her balance before trying to call her uncle. It is not a strong obligation for learners to use this wording. That is the same word as the teacher is saying. But we want to emphasize on something right now and here, that the meaning should be the same when an answer is coming from a learner or a marker, because you write an exam. I prefer using the word marker. You can use any words you like, but you should maintain the meaning of what you would like to say. Because you know we are dealing with languages, so there's nothing like a strong obligation or this is the way, this is the sentence, those are the words that you should use. No. All right? So Mary found out that she didn't have enough credit to pass her phone call. All right. After said that, we will follow. Mary refills her airtime because there was not airtime enough. She refills her airtime in a haste and quickly dials her uncle's number. Unfortunately, she is informed by the service again that the number she dialed was incorrect. And the question goes like this. What can she do in order to successfully pass her phone call? According to you, what is the problem? And then the answer is probably or perceptibly that Mary did not dial the correct number, which is the second error. The first one being that there was not sufficient credit enough or balance enough. The second one, she was in a haste and then she dialed a wrong number. Consequently, the service informed her that she dialed a wrong number. Second option, Mary changes her mind and takes the option to send an SMS to her uncle. Unfortunately, she is confused about how to go about the steps to follow. Now, the question is, what can she do in order to successfully send her SMS? You know, the first option was to pass a phone call. Now, the second option is to send an SMS. Let us see. give the most important steps and minimum 3 steps for her to successfully send an SMS. The answer goes like this. First of all, Mary must enter in the message icon. That is when you open, when you see the front part of your phone, that is your screen, you will see icons. You press on the icon related to or showing messages. So select start chat or start a new conversation. That is the first step. Then she must type her uncle's number or name. Because if she types somebody else's number, then she will be again doing an error. So she must be sure that the number or the name that she has entered is the correct one. And finally, she must type her SMS using the keyboard and press the sending key. Let's go to the third option. Mary definitely decides to send some photos to her uncle. Fortunately, she succeeds with that option. Congratulations for Mary. But that's not all. The question that follows: what type of phone could Mary use to pass her call? The answer is Mary could use any of the 2 types of phones. We mean an ordinary mobile phone or an Android mobile phone. Because the service which is required is an elementary one. It is a basic one. So both could successfully complete the action. If she used the ordinary mobile phone, the message, sure enough, will go. If she used, on the other hand, the Android one, all the same, the message will go. Let's move on now to another question. Could Mary use an ordinary mobile phone to send photos to her uncle? I will break down the understanding. Between the 2 kinds or types of phones that we've mentioned already, was it possible for Mary to send the pictures or the photos using any of the 2 types of mobile phones? That is, first, the ordinary mobile phone. Second, the Android mobile phone. The answer to that question is like this. No, Mary couldn't use an ordinary mobile phone. And probably my learners will ask me the question, sir, why? And my answer will come back to what I said earlier on the first page. When we were trying to put a difference between the services that an ordinary mobile phone can render and those that an Android phone could. Here, sending pictures requires an extraordinary service, because we know that our ordinary mobile phones are limited as far as the services required are concerned. At times when you see your friend using an ordinary phone, you are constantly calling it Toronto or China, something like that. You use a name of a whole country to call a phone with. The word China or Toronto simply means that the phone that your friend is using cannot perform certain tasks, which we call extraordinary in this case. And then when you say, I have a good phone, in our understanding, you mean you have an Android phone because you can perform any task. Well, now, we said that Mary couldn't use an ordinary mobile phone to send photos to her uncles. Justification, because the ordinary mobile phone doesn't have that application. We are now trying to make a summary of what our lesson of today was all about. Because right after the summary, we will give you an assignment to do at home. The lesson, as from the title of the module, was media and communication. And we said that media, as from the basic understanding, can be defined as a channel, a means that permits us to store information or data. And that communication was a concept or a state of exchanging information or data between entities. Then our real life situation was concerned about how do we use some communication services in our society. Right after that, we saw the title of the lesson that was about the different communication services that we have in our context in Cameroon. So you should always pay attention to each and every subsection that we've mentioned, because a lesson is not divided as far as the meaning is concerned. The title can be a little bit different, but the meaning is the same. So we saw in our main part that the lesson was treating the worry that we have between ordinary mobile phones and modern or Android mobile phones, as far as their usage and the services they can perform is concerned. Now, you have an assignment. I will read it for you. You are confined at home as the coronavirus pandemic is threatening the whole world. You would like to send an email to your aunt living abroad. Design the various entries of your email following the correct order. Let us explain the assignment so that at home everybody can do that easily. You are in Cameroon and your aunt is living abroad. You should design the main entries of an email. Not only you should design, but you should correctly design, because there is a problem. We did well to mention that you should do it in the correct way. That is, the order should come up. You are supposed to pay great attention on the number of entries and their order. I will give you a situation briefly for you to understand better. If you are writing a letter, be it formal or informal, and then you start by saying at the very beginning, goodbye, my uncle, for example. And then in the middle, you say, I would like to have some information from your welfare. And then you say, hello. And then you say, Sunday, 25th April 2020. How can you qualify such a letter or such a writing? It is a jumbled writing. That is, it is done in disorder. Now, coming back to our concern, you are asked to write or design an email. Probably, you know the entries. But now, don't get confused by putting them in a jumbled manner. No, one after the other and in a correct and particular order. This assignment, as I said, will constitute one of the aspects that we will focus on for our next frequency. Thanks for your kind attention.